Hello, and welcome to the Winded Podcast, a podcast full of stories of the times that we've been out of breath, whether it's from an adventure, a big obstacle, or when life knocks us off our feet. These stories are here to inspire. Today, for the first time on this podcast, I'm so excited because we have a guest here, and she is also the first guest on the Overcoming series here on the podcast. And for this series, I'm handpicking people who have been through some of the greatest challenges in life and have come out on the other side of it and are doing good in the world from it. And so our guest today, I think, is the perfect example of that. She is a certified nutrition therapy practitioner. I got the pleasure of meeting her for the first time a couple years ago when she was going to school at the University of Wisconsin-Eau Claire. I remember that day like it was yesterday. I was on a panel of judges and we were awarding one business idea from her class to win a grant to take off with their idea. And her idea and her personality just instantly stood out. It was like there was a big orb glow around her that I just knew there was something special about her and her idea. And she won it, which is amazing. So she is entrepreneurial. She also lives wellness. And I believe in her ability to make these amazing ideas of her come to life. So, hello and welcome, Alexis Gonzales.
Hi, everybody.
So, I know from talking to you that you have a couple projects in the works. So, do you want to share those with me in whatever order that you want?
Sure. Where to start? I think the biggest things that I've been working on and have actually kind of finished in a way was like schooling and yeah, my nutrition therapy practitioner certification just in the last year finished that up. And so just kind of moving forward with what I'm doing with that and working on health and wellness. And it's crazy how many people reach out to you after you have a certification like that are friends and family and just want advice. And so it's been really cool just helping people in their everyday living and stuff like that.
Amazing. How do you help them? Are you doing some freelance? Are you working? What's going on with that?
Mhm. So I work at a business called Holistic Nutrition, more actually on the business side of it, doing a lot more of the ins and outs of a small business, anywhere from like product ordering to like background stuff for the practitioners and for all of the clients, testing, ordering tests, emailing, all of the like background stuff. And then we have like a whole non-toxic store. And we're opening a new store right now. And so I've been kind of heading the whole new store that we're opening. And so that's been crazy cool to just put it all together and kind of be the one putting it together. So that's really exciting. And we're actually opening it in just a couple weeks.
It's so exciting. Oh my gosh. And
Yeah.
what a cool experience for you right out of college, getting to do something that's so aligned with you and like the combination of entrepreneur and wellness that you have is just wow. I get chills. Oh,
It has
thinking about
been
it.
so crazy. And yeah, so I finished my degree in nutrition in the fall. And then since then, it's funny like how many people I'll have just like reach out and ask to meet with me, ask for help, ask a lot of them, they want tips, they want tricks, they want just even like, can you look at these labels and tell me if this is good or not? um, or yeah, like meal plans. A lot of people want meal plans or help with this, that, or the other tips and tricks. I had one person do like a blood sugar monitor for a while, and we like went through how it works and like what the differences in, like, their blood sugars mean when they eat different things and how blood sugar affects them overall, and so that was, like, a cool thing to do, and it's kind of just something I've been doing on the side for people who ask me about it.
I was just thinking about you yesterday too because I've been trying to cook a little bit better, like make
Mm.
vegetables and really good recipes. And I have never really gone through a recipe book until yesterday. And I was like, wow, hearing the little tips in here and of course the recipes too is so helpful. And I immediately thought of you, which obviously maybe not right now, but somewhere down the line, that would be really cool. I would buy it.
I'm all for it,
Yeah.
all for it. It's so fun. I love it so much. Or even just who someone asked me the other day about progesterone and, like, supplements for that, and I was like, "You should try this progesterone cream, you don't need a prescription for it." I was like, "We have it, and just, like, see where that takes you." So just, like, little things like that, different supplementation, just, like, a lot of, like, natural swaps too for, like, household or personal care, hygiene products, like, all of that stuff, I love that. I'm like, "Here you go. Swap all your stuff. Get rid of all the hormone disruptors."
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, I need to talk to you after this too about cleaning supplies because I've been
Oh,
getting into
yeah.
cleaning too and getting, something really good. But yeah, I'm curious to hear because you've told me a little bit about your past and like what led you down the road to really dive deep into nutrition.
Mhm.
And really, I mean, it seems like your whole life is based around wellness, which is so cool to see. But I feel like that never just happens because you're like, this sounds fun, nutrition, So,
Yeah.
so
It
like, where did your journey start with starting to really make it a big part of your life?
okay, yeah. So, I can't say I've not always had some sort of a love for it, and granted, I didn't really always know what it was, but just, like, growing up, I mean, I was a super active kid, loved playing sports, loved doing all that stuff. I remember being a kid who was like, "No, mom, we should not get McDonald's. Let's make food. Like, let's make food at home," which is like so weird. But nonetheless, I did not know what I was talking about. And I was definitely not raised to know a bunch about it. So my real story started in college. I was a freshman in college and I got through first semester. And I think, like most college freshmen, um, I was definitely, like, eating school food, they give you what is it, like, Cisco food? So I was probably eating even worse once I went to college unknowingly, and, I was in a whole new environment, and I was under more stress than I probably had been, and I was drinking a lot, like, most freshmen do, but it was COVID, we didn't have in-person class, you barely had to even do anything, and so, like, yeah, the friends I made in college, like, right away in college, like, we didn't know what else to do, and, that was, like, what we were doing, like, every night of the week, and that, yeah, takes a heavy toll on somebody, especially somebody who, um, was maybe already having, like, a lot of stuff going on, and so I, um I got sick, and it started with, like, a lot of chest pain and just, things that where I was like, "That's weird," and then I started getting, like, acid reflux really bad, and I've never had that in my life, so I was like, "Oh, that's also weird." I didn't really know what was going on, but I knew it was bad enough that I wanted to get it checked out. So I had gone in, and they were like, "Oh, you're fine." They told me I had strep or something. They said I had, like, strep throat or something like that. And I was like, "That's weird, okay." And so I, like, was like, "Okay, whatever they tell me, I'll just go with it." And then I was getting worse and worse and worse, and I was like, "I can't eat anything without feeling horrible." I'm bloated, I'm, like, irritated, I can just tell I'm in pain all the time. I have, like, reflux all the time, and, like, I'm getting, like, weird chest pains and tightness, and, like, I was like, "I don't know what's going on." I was, like, anxious all the time, and so I eventually was like, "Mom, I think I need to go to the real doctor." And so we, like, made an actual appointment going into, like, my actual physician, and they had me see a GI specialist, and they did, like, a endoscope and looked inside of me, like, knocked me out and everything, took biopsies, and I come out of that, and they were like, "You know what? You look really inflamed." And I was like, "I feel really inflamed." And they're like,
Thank you.
"Yeah." I was like, "Thank you. I'm so glad you also see this." And then they were like, "But your biopsies are good. You're good." And I was like, "Am I?"
I
And
don't feel like it,
I
but
don't feel like it at all. And they were like, "Nope, you're good." And so I was like, "All right, I guess I'm good." And they were like, "You can try this low FODMAP diet if you want," which basically is eliminating like every single food possible, even like vegetables and meats, and like it was like literally everything. And I was like, "Okay, I guess I'll try this." So I basically stopped eating because I didn't know what to eat, and I was still at college, and they only had so many options, and I was like, "Well, I can't have that, and I can't have that, and I can't have that." And I got even more sick. I remember sitting in my dorm with my roommates on my dorm room floor, like dry heaving over a garbage can because I was dizzy, and it was so bad. But I started a job that summer. So this is like a whole year. So like this had been like a whole year of trying to like figure things out and not knowing what to do and what else. So this is the summer after my sophomore year of college. And I started a job nannying for this family. And I didn't really know, like I was between two families for who I wanted to work for. And I just was like, had this overwhelming feeling of like, pick this family. And I was like, I don't know why, but I guess I'm picking them. And it like there wasn't a difference. Like the pay was the same. And if anything, this job was worse because it was like instead of actually being a nanny, I was like a mom's aide, mother's aide. So the mom was a stay-at-home mom and they had a child with disabilities. Like it was like a lot more complex of a job than the other one. And I was just like, I think I'm supposed to work for them. And
yeah,
so
I
I
got
did.
chills when you said that.
So
Like,
I
"Ugh."
did. Yeah, it's crazy to think of, like, how everything played out and how just how much it was, like, a blessing in disguise in at the time, like, I had no clue what it would lead to, but they had a child with disabilities, and so they would take him to a nervous system focused chiropractor, like, every day. He would get adjusted every single day. And so I would help bring him to the chiropractor. And I remember going with and kind of being there, and I had never gone to a chiropractor's office before. And I just remember looking around and I was like, you know what? Like reading some of the signs, I was like, I wonder if this can help my stomach problems. And so I had kind of like briefly brought it up to the mom I was working for. And I was like, do you think she could help me with my things I got going on? And she was like, I totally think she can. And I was like, I'm gonna try. So I set up an appointment and did the thing and met with the chiropractor and she was like, we can help you out here." And I was like, "Okay, someone wants to help me." And so they did all these different scans and they like saw my nervous system was like a mess, like complete mess. And I was like, "Cool, really cool." And then she's like, "Okay, we're going to work on this, but I also think you should see this other lady who was a holistic practitioner, like nutrition practitioner, kind of similar to like what I went to schooling for, but like a little bit higher certifications." And she was also working in the same building, so they knew each other. And I was like, "I trust you. I will go to you." And so I was started seeing them both, and I did some other testing through them, and this is all more like yeah, like holistic medicine, natural root cause route, rather than what before I had been going more conventional route. And so I do all this stuff and yeah, the nutritionist, the practitioner, she's like, "Yeah, your gut is a mess. You have all of this like bad bacteria. You have overgrowths, like yeast overgrowths, you have mold, you have parasites. Like I had all this stuff going on. And my nervous system is a mess. So I was like, okay, cool, cool, cool. All right, well, this is what I got to do, and this is what's going to help. And I remember leaving the office the first day I ever went. And obviously, I kind of went in unsure, but I felt good about it. And I left the office and I like got in my car, and all of a sudden, I just like start crying. Like I just like wept. I just felt so much relief that like this is safe and this is what's gonna help, and I felt so confident and safe in it that these were the answers that I needed, which is just crazy to think of, I guess, because like, I hadn't even seen any results yet, but I just knew that it was right.
Where my mind goes to is it's interesting the conventional route versus where you went and got results of what they were testing for. Like, that's
Oh,
really it's so interesting.
yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, what conventionally, they did biopsies, and they're like, "You don't have cancer, and you don't have, celiac disease, so you're good."
So they were looking for kind of bigger stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just crazy to see how much of a difference it made.
Yeah. That's gotta be hard too in that moment to hear, "You're all good. Send you home. You're all good," even though you're in so much pain. I mean, it reminds me of one time when I was going through a really hard time, I was seeing a therapist, and we were talking for about a month, and she's like, "I think you're good." And I'm like, "I don't feel good, so I don't know about this." But I feel like even though those moments are really hard too, they almost lead us to, like, the the actual place that we need to go, and it sounds like that's what happened with you.
Definitely did. I mean, I wouldn't have kept looking for answers if they would have actually helped me. So,
Yeah, yeah. You wouldn't be
yeah.
where you are today.
No, not even close. Yeah, because now I actually went to Holistic Nutrition. That's who I saw, and now I work for them.
Yeah.
And
So you
so
so to back up with where you were at after you kinda got those results, is that are you saying that's where you went next?
no, that's, like, where I was, like, that,
Oh,
when
I see.
I my chiropractor had, recommended me to Holistic to go see, and
Oh,
at the time, they were, like, a very small office, it was just one lady, and she was a practitioner, and, like, they didn't have anybody else working for them, it was just her, and she just had, like, one little room she rented where she saw people.
wow. So what was next then in terms of the solutions that they brought and what worked for you?
Yes, we started with just opening my drainage pathways and preparing my liver to try and get my body ready to flush stuff out and not make it super hard on me. And then we went with parasite cleansing. And like through this, she had me on some different supplements just to support my body and help me get back to like a good place. And then after that, we went in with a bacterial kill off cleanse of sorts to kill off all of the yeast overgrowth. And then during all of this, it was changing lifestyle, right? So I was like learning and changing. I had some food sensitivities, and that was probably the biggest change I had to make because I didn't know I had them. So it was like change how I eat, change my mindset around food. That was a big one. I remember her telling me, "You do not eat enough." And I was like, "It hurts so much to eat." And she was like, "You need to eat more. Like, we are gonna get you eating more. We're gonna get you feeling good." And I think that was such a good thing to hear as a young girl to just be like, "You need to eat more to take care of your body." It's not a cutting. You don't need to cut food. You don't need to stop eating. You actually need to do more in order for your body to heal, which over the years, that's not what most people get told. And I think that's really sad because food is so powerful and healing for us.
I'm getting chills. That's super profound though, because it's true. We do like what you were first told too. Cut out all these foods and
Cut
you're
it
like,
all out.
"Well, what can I eat then?" Yeah, and to frame it like that, would you say that was the biggest? Because you talked about mindset shifts around food. Would you say that was the biggest one that you
That was
had?
huge. It was definitely huge. I think the other biggest thing that I think I had to shift was that, like, granted, I knew not all food was good for you, right? Like, we all know there's food that's not good for us. However, there were foods that I didn't know weren't necessarily good for us, or even just learning more about certain foods and, like, when it's maybe a good idea for you to eat them and maybe when it's not. And, like, throughout my years, I've obviously learned a lot more going through schooling, but the biggest thing was I had learned that I had a sensitivity to gluten, and a lot of people do. However, I had to learn, like, why, and that it's not, necessarily that my sensitivity to gluten was a me problem, it's more of a food problem these days because basically how America is growing our food, they're spraying it with a lot of chemicals, and wheat is one of the highest produced crops that gets sprayed a lot, and so over the last, 20 years, 20, 30 years, gluten intolerances have just continued to pop up where that wasn't really a thing as much back in the day because it was, like, real food. And so, yeah, it's kinda one of those things that's, like, it's sad to see that something that could be healing and nutritious and enjoyable for us is something that is just, like, we're ruining it kind of a thing.
I think a lot of people nowadays can relate to the gluten thing too. I know a lot of
It's
people in my
huge.
family, and I've kind of been getting into sourdough here and there,
Yeah.
and I used to just get whatever. I didn't look at the label with the flour, I just got flour, and I took a class a couple weeks ago, and she said to get unbleached organic flour. And I got that, and you can instantly tell the difference. And I wouldn't say I have, like, a huge sensitivity to gluten or bread and stuff. I don't eat it a lot, but even I could feel a significant difference
Yeah.
between the 2.
You're like,
Crazy.
"Oh, I feel way different."
Yeah, you do.
Yeah.
You don't feel like crap after,
Yeah,
really.
exactly. You're like, "I actually don't feel awful now."
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
yeah. It's crazy how much of a difference it makes, and the biggest thing that you changed was adding chemicals to your flour versus not.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So
It's
crazy. So, what other lifestyle changes did you make that you felt like made a really big impact on your health after learning from school and from holistic nutrition?
Man. So I think it's been a slow process, right? So, like, I have slowly switched over cleaning products, laundry detergent, self-care products like your shampoo, your conditioner, your face wash, your moisturizers, your lotions, your toothpaste, like all of that stuff was pretty right away. I started switching over. Things that are like a little bit bigger were like I bought a new bed, a mattress, and I got like 100% organic cotton mattress. So things like that that I switched over.
That's something you wouldn't think about, but we do
Yeah.
spend so much time in bed, so it makes sense.
Yeah. Like every single night for however long, yeah. So it was things like that or even being aware of like this is going to sound maybe weird, but like airflow in a place like I have always hated fans so much. But now I constantly leave my ceiling fan on just to make sure air is flowing because I don't want any stagnant air. I don't want any kind of like moisture buildup or mold growth of any sort. What I have like air purifiers now, um, water purifiers, all of the good stuff. Probably people are gonna be like, "Wow, she went off the deep end," but
Actually, I was just thinking, what I appreciate about you is you just share your story and are honest about your experiences. Sometimes I hear people talk about this kind of stuff in a way that's like really fear invoking, but you're not at all. You're just like, this is what works for me. And I'm like, I trust that. And you're not trying to change anyone's mind, you're just sharing what
Yeah.
works for you.
Yeah, and that was honestly probably the biggest thing that I was told when I had to start all this. They were like, "This feels overwhelming. Go at your own pace. When you run out of something, maybe switch then. When you're already gonna buy it again, buy a different brand or buy something else that's cleaner, less toxic." They were just so laid back in a way where they're like, "This is important, but it's not like, yeah, this fear emergency. You need to go wipe out your whole house and start over right now." And they were like, "Yeah, it is gonna take time and you're gonna do it over time, and that's okay. Every step you make is a step forward and it's good." And I think the biggest thing that they have like preached to me maybe is like the right way to say it, is how important joy is in life and how we need to do things that we enjoy and make us happy. So one thing that I didn't give up for a long time, even though maybe technically it would have been better for my health, was I would play on a volleyball league at night. And sometimes our games would go really, really late, right? Like sometimes I wouldn't get home until 1 in the morning and I'd have to go to work at like 6. And so I would not get a lot of sleep. And that is something they preach, right? Sleep is so important. And I am not saying it's not, it really is so important. Getting sleep is one of the best things we can do for our bodies. However, I love volleyball and I got so much joy from volleyball. And it was like my one thing where I was like, I am not giving this up. And so I think just things like that. Nobody's going to be perfect. You can't live a life that's going to like follow every perfect guideline you think you should follow. And that's okay because you're human. And if you're so worried about making the wrong step or being in the wrong, like a lot of people have this mold fear. And so they're like, we won't go stay at people's houses or we won't go stay in hotels. We don't travel because everywhere is so bad. Yeah, I don't want to live like that. I don't want to live in a fear where everything is bad. And so I think my motto I've created is I will make my home environment a very safe place. I will do as much as I can at home to make sure that my environment here is supporting my body. And then when I'm out and about, when I go on vacations, those kinds of things, maybe I will support my body a little bit more with like specific supplements, but I'm not going to worry about it. Or even like walking through stores, I love to make jokes with people when you walk down like those like really fragrant aisles and you're like, "Whoa." I I'm not worried about, oh my gosh, all of these hormone disruptors are like breathing in my lungs right now. I just like make jokes about it where I'm like, "Whoa, this is rough."
Yeah. The laundry detergent aisle for sure.
It's so bad.
I love your motto. And what I've been realizing too is how important habits are over big
Mm,
actions. And that's
yeah.
such a good example of that. It's like your home is where you're at most of the time. So that's what matters. And just like any other habit, that's what's going to compound over time, not the one time you eat an Oreo or, like you said, walk down the laundry detergent aisle.
Yep, it's true. Yeah, like yeah, it's the little things that add up. I have been glutened so many times since I've been gluten-free, and I could have freaked out or I could have become this like very anxious person anytime I went anywhere being like, "Are you 100% sure this does not have gluten?" Like, no, I do my best. And it gets easier the more you do it, the more you learn, you know what questions to ask. It's not going to be an overnight change.
How long would you say it took from when you started first going to holistic nutrition, you got all of the cleanses and got more information on how to live, to where you felt really confident that, "Oh, I've made the changes that I really wanna make in my home and in my diet and in my lifestyle." How long did that take?
Mm. So I think it's been a process. I think my naive self when I was first starting. I dove right in and I was like, you tell me to jump and I'll ask how high because I was so ready to get better. And so I think at first I was like, okay, I'm going to do this, this, this. And I think in my head, I was like, I've got it all under control. I've done it all. I'm doing it all. And so I think at one point I felt really confident in what I was doing. And then it's funny because like the more I learned, I was like, oh, actually, I need to probably think about this too. So that was probably like within the first year, I felt really confident in what I was doing. And then the second year into it, I was like, oh, actually, there's a few things that I really need to think about changing, but it's not something that's feasible for me at the moment. And at first, it was really like diet. I was like, I'm just going to keep working on making myself cook more, making myself meal prep more, finding nutritious things, getting better at that. The third year in, I felt like very knowledgeable and very confident. And then I went to school for it. And I was like, oh my gosh, there's so many things that I didn't know now that I'm going to school for it that I'm learning. I was starting to feel more confident, but also like, wow, I really had no clue what I was doing. It was a very humbling experience. But even all of the little baby steps I did were super, super helpful. And now I've been working at holistic nutrition for 2 years now, probably to the day almost. And I'm working in an environment where I'm talking to people who live the same lifestyle. We bounce ideas off of each other, we bounce products off of each other. We just talk about things all the time. And that's totally made a huge difference in, I think, my confidence level and even just like continuing to learn about things all the time.
So I know that faith is really important to you, and I'm curious how that played a role in your journey, how that's shifted over time.
So the crazy thing is, I actually did not grow up in faith at all. And it wasn't until I was in college that it was kind of something that I wanted to explore more. And so in college, I was in a really bad relationship. And the relationship ending actually lifted such a weight off of me. And I felt such a breath of fresh air that I was like, okay, I can re examine my life. I think I had just felt like I was like, I don't know what I'm doing in life. I don't know what's going on. I don't know what my purpose is. I don't even know what degree I want to go for. And it all started kind of falling into place. That summer was when I like started finding some answers in my health journey. And so it all kind of went together. And then that fall, I lived with a friend, and me and her kind of started exploring faith together. And so we started going to church together and just kind of having those questions, time of conversation together that we didn't really know about this, that, or the other. And it was such a safe place for us because we both were in the same boat. And I knew then I saw how much God had been with me through everything, and I had felt so taken care of. And so that was something that just really, I think, fired me up to be like, "All right, like, let's give it my all." And I am kind of a give it my all person. So I went in and I started taking classes at church, making church a priority, talking to people, surrounding myself with people who were not not the party crowd, and not even just because of my health, but also because of my faith. And I think I used my health as like a cop out answer for a long time, being like, I just can't drink alcohol anymore, guys. Like, I can't handle it, which was true. However, I also was like, and I don't think I want this life anymore. Like, it's not fulfilling. It's not giving me any sense of purpose. And I don't think this is what I'm supposed to be doing. And so over the last, what, probably 4 years, I've really just grown and deepened my relationship with God. And it has been so life giving, but also so crazy to see how He's just wiggled me around to where I'm at today. I would have never guessed what I would be doing, or even that when I met you, giving my presentation or my pitch, it would be something that God would call me back to and say, like, "No, I was serious. This is actually what you're supposed to be doing."
Yes. Oh, chills again. I can feel that. I also love that you said something about God wiggling you around.
Yeah.
Wiggle, wiggle. Um, but yeah, what you were just talking about when you were giving that pitch, when I mentioned like there was like this orb or something around you, like this is really something special, that felt like you were being held kind of. And you and the combination of your idea was, I don't know how else to describe it besides perfection. It just felt like it fit. It was right. It needs to be done. And that's why I'm like so cheering you on with all of this, everything you're doing. I love your story because of how you do trust and you do have faith to take the steps that you're taking, and you can see your path, or at least I can. I know it's always harder when it's yours, but I see it for you, and it's
It
really
is.
incredible.
It's so there. Really, over the last year, this fall or this like last Labor Day weekend, I was sitting at a young adults church camp and we were going through this exercise for like the whole weekend was about like, what's our purpose, right? Like, what is God putting on your heart, calling you to do? And I was sitting there like, I have no clue. I just nanny babies. Like, I was like, I don't know what I'm supposed to do. I don't know what I want to do. I graduated college and a year out. I don't feel like I'm doing anything productive. One of the first things that weekend that he kind of like spoke to me was, you are doing something so important. You're growing your relationship with me, which you haven't done yet. You are doing something so important right now. And I was like, "Okay, okay." And I was like, "I'm listening. I hear you. I get it." And I was like, "But still, what am I supposed to be doing?" Then later in the weekend, we're all sitting in prayer and we're just listening, trying to figure out how to listen. And they're like, he might call you to do something you don't really want to do or you don't feel qualified to do or something that just doesn't sound very appealing to you in the moment. And I was sitting there and I was like, what is it going to be? What is it going to be? And all of a sudden, it was daycare. And I was like, that was from a couple years ago. I was like, that was an idea a couple years ago. That was fun. That was for school. I was like, it's a great idea, but I can't do this on my own. I was like, I would need so many people to help me. I would need to find funding. I would need like all of this stuff. Like I was like, I would need to get staff, like a lot of staff. I was like, I don't know how this is going to work. I'm not skilled enough to do this. And it was funny how much he just said, "Don't worry, you're going to do this." And I was like, all right then, I guess I'm gonna do this. And ever since that weekend, I have just been full in. And I came back from that weekend and I actually had somebody bring it up to me who I hadn't talked about it in years. Like it had been so long since I had the class and had the idea. And I had somebody just be like, "So, when are you gonna open your daycare?" And I was like, that was really weird. And so I was like, okay, God, I get it. I'm not at camp anymore and this is real life. And you're like, just you speaking to me more. And then ever since there, I think I just really opened myself up to like talking about it, thinking about it, saying like, I don't know when or how or where, but it's going to happen. And so I'm here for when it happens and I'm going to do it. And ever since over the last 8 months, there's just been little baby steps happening.
That is so cool. I love hearing about that part of your story because I haven't heard that before, but it's a cool little background behind the scenes of what's been going on and how this idea formulated and how divine it is. And oh my goodness, I have so many chills right now. Like, it's like, yes, 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 yes. Yes, 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 yes. Like,
He works in our lives every single day, and once you, like, create that relationship with him and can see it, it's just crazy how blessed you feel. Like, I know that I'm doing the right thing, even if it doesn't look like what everybody else that I graduated with is doing or my old friends from home are doing. Like, I just know what I'm doing is what I'm supposed to be doing, and it is important, and that's all that matters.
my gosh, I needed to hear that today. Thank you. Yeah, yeah. What it's such a good reminder because I know I feel that pressure of like, everyone else is doing this and that, and they're getting married and they're
Yeah.
starting businesses and doing jobs and like, why am I right here? I don't get it. It's kind of like that moment where you're like, yeah, but just tell me, you know?
The
It's
way
like it just doesn't
uh,
work like that.
seeing everybody get engaged and married and have babies, and funny enough, I have always like, I was the kid who was like, "I can't wait to get married and have kids one day, like, this is my purpose in life," and don't get me wrong, I do still think that I hold that in my future. However, over the last 8 months, 9 months, maybe even, since God gave me such confirmation of, like, "You are prioritizing me, you are focusing on me, and you are gonna do this, like, you're gonna open this business." I've been a bridesmaid 3 times, a maid of honor once, I've gone to 5 bachelorettes, and I think it's literally just it's how the world works, right? Where we're hit with all of the things that wanna stop us from doing what we're supposed to be doing, and I'm not
So,
gonna lie, it's hurt.
yeah. So, with that said, like, do you feel like it's kind of like, I don't know if testing is the right word? Do you feel like it's kind of testing you a little?
I think it's a bit of a test and also, I mean, just a bit of, like, spiritual warfare, like, he's allowing these things right now to be like, "This is your opportunity to continue picking me." However, I don't feel like it's in a bad way at all. I think it's almost a blessing to, like, be challenged in this way and be able to still pick my faith, and if I weren't having things that were challenging me, there would be nothing pushing me back towards him. If you're not going through hardship and you're not having to lean on him, it's really easy to just float away because everything's great. So I will never say that, like, going through hardship is a bad thing. It is also a blessing along with the good things, even even when we're sitting in it and it hurts. It gives us the opportunity to give it up and just, like, let him literally carry us through the hard part and show us how many more blessings there are to come, and it's just such an amazing roller coaster of a life that we get to live.
You are dropping some wisdom right here. Yes, so good. I feel that. So, you haven't shared yet what your business idea is. Can you share
Yes.
that?
Yeah, let's talk about it. So, I am going to open a non-toxic, holistically focused daycare to just provide for the community a place for kids to go that's gonna be supportive for their bodies and for their learning, where parents don't have to worry about their kids being fed food that is going to be driving their nervous systems crazy. So just a place to set kids up for health, for growth, learning how to love life and learning how to love their bodies and love food and love being kids and wanting to be curious. So, some of the big things that I want to do to make this happen is there will be absolutely zero screens in this daycare. The food is going to be very, very clean. organic, whole foods that we actually are supposed to be eating. It's definitely gonna be probably our biggest cost, but we're not gonna cut corners there because it's one of the biggest, most important things is what we put in our body. And so we're gonna be okay focusing on that and spending money there. We are gonna have people who love the kids and love being there and love for the kids to actually be involved. So some of the little things I want to do is just have a really nice outdoor area. They are going to be able to actually be outside and like what's the saying now like touch grass. They're going to be able to touch grass. Yeah. um and move their bodies and of course like we live in Wisconsin and so we have a lot of cold winter months, and so there is gonna be more inside time, but with that being said, we're gonna have air purifiers, we're gonna have an indoor space that is non-toxic, so yeah, like, definitely gonna be using non-toxic cleaning products, even just, like, down to what they play with, like markers, that kinda thing. Kids draw on themselves or kids literally will, like, shove markers in their mouths. Like, we are we're just gonna make sure that we can support the kids the best we can while we're there and just teach them that, yeah, life is meaningful. So it's just it's so big and so important.
So, do you have an idea yet of what ages will be there?
Oh, yeah. So I think to start, it will be infant through 4 as like typical daycare. I think down the line, after we get our feet running kind of a thing, it would be really cool to come up with some after school programs for kids who are a little bit older, between like 5 and 10, where parents don't really want them home alone yet.
Mhm. Yeah, I think it's so needed just knowing some moms in Eau Claire too that really value health and the no screens thing. It sounds like you're really just taking into account what are kids consuming, and it's just so thoughtful. And I think that parents, specifically ones who have that same value, are gonna be super drawn.
It's exciting. It's in the works, but it's still probably about 5 years out.
And you also have another little project in the works, right?
I do.
Well, let's hear about that.
So, I'm also starting a podcast. The first episode is recorded. Everything is ready to rock and roll. I just have to finish editing it, and so hopefully in the next week it is published.
Hey. And maybe by the time this episode is published, it will be
It
published,
will
which
be published,
is
yeah.
exciting. Yeah. So where can people find your podcast?
To start, it'll be on Spotify. It is called The Well Within, and we'll see where it all goes, but it is a faith-based podcast. So, starting there and just kinda letting God take it where he wants it to go and what he wants me to talk about, and I'm excited to get it out there for people to listen to.
Exciting. I love that name, by the way, too. The Well Within.
Yeah.
I mean, I think I know what it means, but I'm curious to hear on your podcast, or you can share now, like, how did that name come to you and what did it mean to you?
So, yeah, I was obviously bouncing a lot of ideas on what I wanted it to even be about and what I wanted it to represent. And it was funny because when I started, when I was like, I am gonna do a podcast, it was like, I'm gonna do a podcast talking about health, nutrition, kids, like I'm gonna do it all on this. And I think God was kinda like, "Okay, yeah. Yeah, you can do that." And so I started, like, rocking and rolling with ideas, and then all of a sudden, he just, like, slowly kept pushing me, pushing me, pushing me, because I was like, "Oh, and I'll add in, like, who I am." So, of course, I'm gonna add in my faith, and then it was more like, "Actually, you're gonna focus on your faith, and you're gonna add in the nutrition and all the other things that you, are passionate about." And so I kinda had to laugh at myself there because I was like, "All right, sounds good." But the well within name actually I wanted to find a name that spoke to people for, like, themselves, within yourself, right? And the well part of it became more of a biblical term. So I think of the story of Jesus at the well with the woman, and he's speaking to this woman, and he basically gives her confirmation of who he is, but he also shows her a huge amount of grace and love. And there's a lot of more references in the Bible to wells, and so it's kind of like the well within is almost a play on words to say, like, what water is in your well within you, and how can we start filling your well with the living water?
Awesome. I
Yeah.
love the meaning behind that. As you've mentioned, like God is speaking to you from a human perspective, also like, well, that's also a great business strategy. Like the making it faith-based with the nutrition and wellness twist. You're speaking to people who might not be seeking that out, but they're seeking faith. And it totally plays in to faith as well. Wellness, taking care of yourself, the
Yeah.
well within.
Yeah. It does. It fits so well with nutrition too. It just works. It's like overall wellness, and that's what I want. Like, it's wellness on a physical level, it's wellness on a spiritual level, it's wellness on a mental level, like, it's all connected, and if one thing is off, they can all be off. And so, yeah, it's really talking about the wellness we have inside of us is yeah, it was just like it worked in so many ways. I love this name.
So good.
Yeah,
Chef's kiss.
it
Beautiful.
was. It was so good.
Well, thank you so much for sharing your story. And I really think that a lot of people can relate to multiple parts of your journey, whether or not they've had an actual health scenario similar to yours, or if it's some other kind of thing that they've had to overcome in life. I'm just so excited to see you continue because you're already putting things into place, but to continue to let your experiences inform how you help the world. You're a very, very special person. So thank you for coming on.
Thanks for having me. It was an exciting opportunity. I was like, "Ooh, this could be fun." Start off my podcast with also being on another podcast.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So if people want to reach out to you, Alexis, where can they find you?
They will be able to find me on Spotify on my podcast, The Well Within, but then I will also put in the description the Instagram for the podcast where people could reach out and message me if they had any questions or anything they wanted to, talk about.
Perfect. So you basically you have to check out the podcast.
Basically, you have to check out the podcast. And if you don't
Once
use Spotify, I hope you download it.
yeah. Mm. Well, awesome. Well, thank you again for coming on. That concludes today's episode. I hope everyone listening has a wonderful, wonderful day, and we'll talk to you later.